So what type of hive is this, Adrian?
This is a Kenyan top bar hive. So this one's it's not an end, it's an end entrance, so the same as Les Crowder makes. I usually use the centre entrance hives. I prefer to be able to manage the colony from both ends, whereas with an end entrance hive, the brood's stored up at this end, of course, the nest, and then your honey's towards the back of the hive. So to get to the brood, I've got to move all this honey across, get to the brood area. So I prefer using a hive that I can access from both sides. But I thought I'd make one exactly like Les Crowder's and play with it, experiment with it, and it's great, Of course it would be. But yeah, it's hard to get to the brood area. So we'll have a look how they're going to react. We've had some Angophora flowering around, so the bees are a bit more defensive when there's Angophora honey around, Angophora nectar. The bees have been really, really edgy for the last few weeks, but the Angophora stopped flowering about a week ago.
So a lot of people kill their queens when their colony's a bit aggro, but it could be what they're foraging on.
Yep. Bloodwood as well is a big one. If there's bloodwood flowering and it rains, it happens to rain during that flowering period, the bloodwood nectar starts to ferment and makes them aggro, like the guys at the pub. So that's another one. But I only learnt of the Angophora recently by a local guy down the road here, that it sends them a bit aggro. Yeah, there's all sorts of reasons. It's not just because the genetics, there's all sorts of reasons. It's also mistreatment, so if the bees have been mistreated, every time a beekeeper goes in and kills a few bees, squashes a few bees, well, they're going to quickly learn that they don't want you there, so they're going to fire up. Yeah. So we'll go into it and we'll see how these girls are going. I'm just going to let them know we're here. Going to have a bit of a look. Okay, we're just going to have a bit of a look. Let us in. The key to any beekeeping really is to just go slow. Go really, really slow. Fast movements, jerking movements, they don't like it. The key is to go slow. See how they react when I open it. They seem to be okay. They're okay with this. They're not pouring out. If they were pouring out, I'd be running. But they seem to be okay, so they're not overly alarmed.
Another difference is that beekeepers tend to use smoke, and you're not using smoke today.
Yeah, I mean, I'll use smoke if I'm doing a harvest, because I'm working in the hive and I'm taking their honey, so I use the smoke to confuse them and get their attention away from me breaking into the hive to, hey, there's a fire coming. So they seem to chill out a bit more. Well, not chill out, they get busy dealing with the situation of a fire. We're just having a bit of a look in here, so I don't generally use a smoker if I'm just having a quick look. I mean, they don't, you can see the way they're reacting with us now. They're not overly concerned. There's a beautiful full bar of honey. Pure honeycomb there.
Olive's impressed.
Olive's impressed. That's good. Yeah, you can really smell that beautiful scent coming out. So we'll move that honeycomb over here, and the beauty of the Kenyan is that I'm only dealing with literally these bees right here. In a Langstroth hive, we're taking the roof off. Cold air, hot air rushes up, draws in cold air from the bottom. It creates a chimney effect. And all the bees are alarmed now. They know we're in there in a Langstroth hive. Whereas with a Kenyan, it doesn't seem to do that. I'm sure there's some sort of effect going on there from the entrance to the exit, but they don't get as alarmed. I think the combs in there slow that down considerably. So we're only dealing with literally these bees right here. And if I want to go further in, then I just move that across to there and close that off. Now those bees between that comb and that comb are encased in there, and I'm again just dealing with these girls here. It's a really good method. This can you see? I don't know if you can see how this is all bubbled out. And that's what happens is the bees will start building deep cells when there's a honey flow on, rather than building new comb, which they will at the same time. If the nectar's coming in really quick before they can build new comb, quicker than they can build new comb, they'll start building deep cells so they can cash in on that extra nectar flow. And that's where cross combing can start with the Kenyan hive, because what happens is, you can see what's going to happen is this comb here will be built, and when it gets down to there, they want to leave the bee space, so they'll end up building it out, sort of out of whack, and you end up getting cross combing. So to prevent that, what I generally do is stick a shim in there, something like this, 5mm, 4mm gap. So I'll increase the width of that comb or that bar, and then I can put that back in. So it gives them, now they can build that comb out nice and fat and deep, but it won't affect the new comb they're building, because it'll keep that in line with the center of the top bar. So it's a really simple, easy method to implement.
You do that with the waris too.
Do you?
No, we could, I think.
You could.
But,
Do you have the space?
yeah, you
Yeah,
do. You do
a
have
little bit of
space
space on the end, yeah. Yeah, you could. It's a really good method. I would strongly recommend it, even in any type of beekeeping, if you can fit it in. We'll have a look at see what's going on. You can see here they've attached a tiny little bit on the bottom. They've attached the comb to the actual side wall. So what I do with my knife, very gently go in there, just detach it. Very slow, you don't want to chop any bees in half doing this. You've got to give them time to move out of the way. And I always detach it, not right flat against the wall, but I always you've got to leave that bee space. Remember, the bee space is important. It's about 9mm. So we leave that bee space, and then I scrape. Once I've moved the top bar, I can scrape, and that side's a little bit attached. I can feel it. So just by wiggling that, making the honey warm, you can actually break it off real simple. And now I'll go in here and I just take that out. There. And then when I put that back, I've got that bee space there. Yeah. Good system. Easy, simple. Honey. This hive, I harvested from this hive a couple of weeks ago. It was absolutely full of honey all the way to here, and that's how much I harvested out. I've left the other half in there, just in case. I mean, you never know what happens if a storm comes and all the flowers get knocked off your trees, and you harvested all your honey out. Well, that's it. They're stuffed for the rest of the year. So it's really important not to over harvest, even though there might be a flow on and all your trees are in flower. Like I said, a storm, fire, something might happen, a drought, gets really hot and flowers dry out, and then you're left with no honey in the hive and your bees suffer.